In this Castle guide, we will go through an early to mid game free auto battle lightning setup for waving and answer not just the question what, but also why. The setup looks like this. We will go through every single thing in this build, all the heroes, buildings, treasures, skill tree, everything related to the build. And in this build, we have 4 main damage dealers taking care of the enemies. Those are Thor, Zeus, Dark Lightning Archer, and the Thunder Tower. Let's start going through stuff so you will understand what exactly they are doing in this build. Let's start with the heroes, and the first one we have in here is the Dark Necromancer, whose role is to decrease the defense of all monsters every time he is cast, and this will allow your damage dealers to deal tremendously more damage to the enemies, so he is one of the key core heroes in your build, and he should be included in every single build you have. Next to Dark Necromancer, we have the Pure Wizard, whose role is to reduce the cooldown of every single hero every time he is cast, and having low cooldowns is beneficial in waving and in other game modes as well. So these two are like a core duo that should be included in every single build you make. In addition to this, Pure Wizard will also decrease the cooldown of heroes on his left and right side by 1 second, so every time you place him in the build, make sure he is placed in the middle over here, so he will have 1 hero on both of his sides. And then we have our first main damage dealer of the build, the Dark Lightning Archer. Now, the reason of Dark Lightning Archer being in the build is mainly so that she can take care of bosses. And this is mainly because she has a built-in plus 100% damage to boss monsters and a great single target damage. Now she will also help you throughout your run killing other monsters as well, but especially the further you get in this game, you will want to have someone who can reliably take care of bosses. And moving up, next we have Slingers. Their role is to be a crowd controlling unit, applying knockback, stun or slow to enemy monsters, making sure they don't reach your castle and kill you. In very early game, this might not really be an issue, but especially the further you get in the game, the more you will want to have these guys eventually in your build. Next to Slingers, we have the Dark Elf, whose role is to give you a little bit of healing throughout your wave and other game modes because of her HP steal ability. So this will heal your castle every time she deals damage to enemies. Now, especially in early game, because we will not be having a physical skill tree, her damage will be extremely weak, and I would not really recommend leveling her up a lot. The main reason she is in the waving build is because of the passive Archer Trio ability. The Archer Trio increases the attack speed of other Archer type heroes by 150%. And the main reason to have Dark Elf in this build is actually to give this attack speed boost to the Dark Lightning Archer. So this will increase the attack speed, so damage output of one of our core damage dealing units in this build, so they kind of work in a synergy in that way. In later game you can remove Dark Elf, we will go through that after a while. And then it's time to boost our second damage dealer of this build, and this is why we have Red Defender 2 in the build. Now, Blue Defender promotion would give us better defense, but Red Defender will give us a passive tower damage plus 25% boost, and this will boost the damage output of our second main damage dealer of this build, so the Thunder Tower. We will go through Thunder Tower in a moment, and Red Defender is extremely simple unit to use. He doesn't need to be leveled, his normal max level is 99, and he doesn't need any items to work, so you can just leave him in your build and get that passive, sweet passive damage boost for your Thunder Towers. And above Red Defender we have Stone, whose role is also to further boost the damage output of our Thunder Towers because of 2 reasons. First, every time he is cast, you will get the tower attack speed plus 100%. Again, this will boost the damage output of your Thunder Tower, and also when you have him leveled and promoted, he will give you plus 2 extra tower slots for your build. This will mean you will be able to get a couple of more towers in your build, and also this is the trick that will allow us to have 3 lightning towers in our battle. We will go through that also in a moment, but this is the core duo to boost our Thunder Towers damage in this build. And then we have Chrono, whose role is to give you increased game speed while you are playing, and this will make you able to do more waves per hour, which means faster progression, and also increased game speed while you play will mean also that your colonies and your town workers will work at faster speed. So Chrono is important part of wave build because of the faster progression he provides, and in early game you want to have the left hand side promotion because it's a passive game speed boost and doesn't require any mana. If you don't struggle with mana after your initial early game, you will start using the right hand side promotions. If you have small amount of cooldown items for Chrono, you will want the yellow promotion in the right hand side, and if you have in later game at least 3 lines of cooldown, you can use the blue promotion. It's eventually gonna be the best, but in a very early game you can just use the passive promotion to make sure you don't run out of MP during your waves. And then we have Ice Sorcerer, who is another crowd controlling unit capable of freezing the ground monsters, making sure they don't advance to your castle and kill you. And you can use the right hand side promotion, the Sorcerer promotion, for increased freezing radius, or you can use the left hand side, the Ice Wizard promotion, for a smaller radius, but his normal attack will also be able to freeze monsters in case you, for example, want to freeze the Flying Zeppelin during your waves, which is probably not something you will struggle in Lightning build, but also it's an option nevertheless. Above Ice Sorcerer, we have our third main damage dealer for the build, Zeus. He is a Lightning type hero capable of dealing great damage, and you will want to use the Quick Charge promotion because that will give you a better damage output for Zeus. And Zeus and your other main 4 damage dealer heroes and leader will be the highest level units you will have in your build, so put most of your goals into these 4 guys and also to your castle, and you will be good to go. And then we have Dorothy. Dorothy will give you a little bit of more crowd control, so you can equip her with knockback or stun items like slingers. And also the poison promotion will make the poison monsters take more damage from other sources, so that your main damage dealer again can deal a little bit more damage to those guys. So she will provide a little bit of damage support and also crowd control support. She's also one of the units you can kinda replace from the build if you want to try something else. We will go through that just in a moment. We have one final hero left, who is Smith. Smith's reason for the build is to provide you an instant healing during your waves. This is mostly important during boss battles, because bosses, if they can reach your castle, they can deal tremendous damage to your castle, basically capable of destroying you in seconds. So having an instant 60% healing is very great thing to have in your waving build. And then in case you have purchased the 13th hero slot and you have one extra slot for your build, or you can drop Dorothy or Dark Elf from the build and try something else, you have options to use Dark Assassin as a support unit, in which case he doesn't need to be leveled over level 51 at that point, just use him at that level to apply the critical debuff to enemies. Another option is to use Paladins to give you a little bit more bodies on the field, so a little bit more body block for the crowd enemies if that is an issue for you. And third option is to use the Giant Ogre, who has a built-in knockback and stun ability in his castable ability, making you able to push back the whole wave of crowd monsters during your waves if that's something you might need. But if you're just starting out and having the basic layout, this is exactly what you want to copy right now. Use this one. Heroes are done, but we still have our 4th main damage dealer for the build, who is our leader, Thor. Thor is a lightning type leader that fits in the lightning build extremely well. He has great damage, he can take care of the ground monsters, and also his passive ability will give you +2 hits of every chain lightning you have, and this will also increase the chain lightnings of your Thunder Tower, again making your Thunder Tower also able to deal a little bit more damage. And this conveniently leads us to towers, so let's start from here. We have the Thunder Tower 2, which I said is one of the main damage dealers of this build because of its lightning type. It's capable of dealing a lot of chain lightnings, and you are able to have 3 Thunder Towers during your wave. And how this is achieved is by equipping the Mirror Tower on the left hand side of your Thunder Tower. This will duplicate 1 tower per 3 tower slots. So usually when you use this, you will get 1 duplicated tower by using the mirror. But since we have the stone hero in our build, we are getting 2 extra tower slots, which means we actually have 6 slots. This means we will get 2 extra towers. And while the mirror is placed on the left side of Thunder Tower, you will have 3 Thunder Towers during your waves. Next to mirror, we have the defensive barracks. There's no need to level this barracks, just make it promoted to defensive promotion, and you will have a little bit more bodies on the field, helping you a little bit by body blocking the enemies. This is not going to be making a huge difference. There's no reason to spend your gold on leveling this one, but you can have it for the couple of extra bodies on the field. Next to it, we have the Golden Tree, which will give you a little bit of extra gold every few waves, even if you use free auto battle with the Wordless Coin Treasure. So including the 3 in your free auto battle builds is absolutely a thing you want to do. On the top row, we have the Frozen Tower, which will apply slow to monsters, and there's no reason to level this tower up, just promote it and have it standing there for a little bit of extra crowd control. It's not going to be making a huge difference, but it helps you a little bit. It's kind of a free thing to do. There's no reason to spend gold on leveling this one. This will do absolutely 0 damage. The final thing we have in towers is the Death Form 2. So this is your main source of MP regeneration during your waves. So if you are struggling with mana, you will want to level up your Death Form a little bit. Again, Death Form will also get increased damage from your stone and for your red defender, so you will also have a little bit more mana regeneration because of those two heroes in the build as well. And then going through the castle parts quickly, in the bottom you will want to have the lightning castle because it increases the attack of your lightning type units, and all of our damage dealing units in this build are of lightning type, so that's free damage for your heroes. And above it we have the Sealed Castle, which maxes out at level 99. It's easy to max out and it will give you free defense for your castle, making you able to survive a little bit longer. Above Sealed Castle I have the Lightning Castle. In early game your Lightning Castle will be able to deal some extra damage, which can be a nice boost. In late game all the castle parts are extremely bad for damage, so it's recommended that you only level this up to level 10,000 eventually and stop there. You will get one extra skill point once it reaches level 10,000 and it will give you a little bit of damage in your early game, and then you can just remove it in later game completely. The last slot in here is empty, so whatever you have on your highest level after the Lightning Tower you can use in here. It won't make a huge difference and you probably should just concentrate on leveling the Lightning Castle instead and also spending crystals elsewhere, so you can just leave it empty as well. It won't make a huge difference. And then the buildings you can see above me over here. In the left hand side we have the hero guild that will give you heroes 20% more damage. This will again be a free damage boost to your main damage dealer heroes. If you can afford the uni guild you can also use that one. It will give you the same hero damage and also give you town archer damage in case you are using town archer for damage as well. We will go through town archers in one moment. Next to Hero Guild we have the Spring Water that will reduce the unit's cooldown by -15%. This is extremely strong building to use and it's worth using in your every build. And next to Spring Water we have the Bar, which will double the human type summon unit, so this will double the amount of slingers you have. In your early game you might not need to use this, you might not need to use 10 slingers for crowd control, in which case you can replace the Bar with the Tower to give you a little bit of more tower damage. So this will again increase the damage output of your Thunder Tower, again making them even more and more powerful for your setup. And above buildings we have altars, and I have chosen the Altar of Tower for this build because of the passive towers attack plus 30% buff. This will again boost your Thunder Towers and your Worms damage a little bit more, making them a little bit more stronger again. You can use the castable ability as well during your waves, but you can also set that off during your auto battle so you can save your dark crystals to be used elsewhere. This is optional, but you will always get this passive boost from the Altar of Tower. If you are not using Thunder Towers for some reason, you can choose the Altar of Healing as well to give you a little bit of more emergency healing during your waves in case you need that. This is something you will likely want to have in your later game. And then about Town Archers, you basically have two options in your early game, either to level them alongside with your other units or ignore them in the early game and then bulk level them up later on. And you will eventually want to level your Town Archers to level 10,000 because that will award you with one skill point again. And it's recommended that you stop in there because their damage scaling in later game is not going to be as beneficial for you as it would be to just spend the same amount of gold on your heroes instead. The layout is done, let's go through treasures next. And in the bow section you basically have two options. If you are not leveling your town archers alongside with other units, you can use the frozen bow to make them apply slow to enemy monsters while they hit them, giving you a little bit of more crowd control in a way. Also, if you feel like they are giving you a lot of lag for your device, you can also just completely remove them at that point. That's also an option, and your heroes will still get a critical chance of plus 5%. If you are leveling your town archers alongside with other units, again I will recommend to stop at level 10,000 and not go further than that. You want to use the Cursed Knife to give your town archers more damage, while also giving your heroes a critical chance of boost of 5%. The rest of the treasures are the Devil Horn, which will allow you to wave jump every time you complete a wave, and I would recommend you to use the first level of this in your early and mid game until you have gained some sweet items for most of your units. And next to Devil Horn we have the Worthless Coin, which is a mandatory treasure for the build that allows you to use the free auto battle function in this game. And next to these guys we have the Iron Wheel, which will decrease the colony gold cooldown, and the whip, which will increase your colony gold. When you are using free auto battle, your main source of gold income will be from the colony, so you want to boost those as much as possible if you can. Now, if you are not strong enough to complete the wave +1 skip on Devil Horn, using both of these, there's an option that you can replace the whip with the Power Claw. The Power Claw is the strongest damage dealing treasures you have in the game, so pick this one if you want to have more power. Or if you can't use Devil Horn at all, at that point you can replace the Devil Horn with Power Claw instead and go with this setup for a while. Couple of more things to go through, let's tackle the skill tree next. And since we are using a lightning build, surprise surprise, we are starting from the lightning path. And this is what your skill tree will look like once you have 50 skill points for this wave setup. And I will also link an image version of this layout to the description box of this video, so you can save it for yourself and look at it whenever you need. It will also include images of different amounts of skill points, so also if you have less skill points, it will include an image version of that one as well, so you know what you want to pick in here at what points. And once you start getting more points than 50, you will want to go up towards this skill node over here. So this first one will increase the damage of your Dark Lightning Archer as long as you have leveled up her bow. And then we have this Archer Trio applies to itself node, which, remember I said you can drop Dark Elf in later game of this build, and this is this point when you reach this skill point, you can drop Dark Elf from your build if you don't need the healing she provides you, because the Archer Trio applies to itself means that the Archer Trio passive boost from Dark Lightning Archer will be applied to Dark Lightning Archer herself, so she will no longer need Dark Elf to give her that passive attack speed boost. And then finally, before showing you the battle results, you want to head up to your town and to your monster lab. In here, pick lightning damage for every single monster in the monster lab. There is, however, this one guy who can't get a lightning monster weakness, so you can just pick critical chance for this dude, but for everyone else, pick the lightning damage weakness in the monster lab. And with this build, your battle results should look something like this. The order of these 4 units might differ a little bit depending on who you have leveled the most or who you have or don't have items for, but they should be the top 4 damage dealers for this build. And if we take a look at the boss damage results in here, you will also see that the Dark Lightning Archer is dealing most of the damage to bosses in my build, which is her role in the build to begin with. Now, if you have any questions, make sure to leave a comment down below. I will do my best to give you an answer, and make sure to also check out the pinned comment. I will pin some extra information about the build and the game in there as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you find this helpful, I would absolutely love if you hit the subscribe button for my channel. That would mean a world to me. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time, my friends. Laku out.